And welcome back to another episode of Screen Tested. I'm your host Tyrant, and today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite subjects, armor. Yes, there are lots of different armors from all over the world, different time periods, different styles, designs, different pros, different cons. It's a whole thing. Now, I love armor so much that I pretty much wear it in every single episode. This here is my gambeson, and it protects me from the stupid things that I do. That's how much I love armor. So there are lots of different types, right? For example, the ones that I have here, like I just mentioned, is gambeson, very similar to the one that I'm wearing. Then we have things like plate armor. Obviously, it has a lot more structure to it, so it can handle a lot of punishment. Then, one of the most popular, that would be mail, or chainmail, right? This here is some riveted steel mail. I have tested this a bunch of different times with a bunch of different weapons. Mail is awesome because obviously it is made out of a lot of different, small links that when you put them together, it gives you a whole bunch of, range of motion, articulation, while still having some breathability. But it lacks some things like obviously the plate armor might have, like the structure. So there are, ways that you can get through mail, of course. But what I wanted to specifically look at is something a little bit more in the future, in the current day, and that would be 3D printed armor, because obviously when it comes to futuristic armor, we already have things like ballistic vests that are obviously meant to stop firearms. We have cut-proof, stab-proof, resistant types of, soft kit, kind of carbon fiber Kevlar mixes. It's a whole thing, right? Futuristic armor is here. And 3D printed armor is one of those things that has fascinated me. And recently, we obviously got a 3D printer, so I wanted to put it to the test, 3D print some mail, and see what this stuff can really handle. So 3D printed mail seems to be an idea that a lot of people have had before, because finding a 3D model for it was really, really simple and easy. I just downloaded one of them, sent it to the printer, and in no time we have our 3D printed mail that we can put to the test. So let's get out there and get started. I didn't have to print it with any supports. It literally just printed and it's ready to go. So I'm actually fascinated to see how much abuse it can actually withstand. So first here I have some scissors, you get attacked by some lunatic who has some scissors. We've got a screwdriver, something that has a little bit more force in it, and of course, maybe something like a projectile. But let's start small and work our way up, because I honestly have no expectations. I don't know what to expect here. Now, just to be clear, we obviously have our mail. Then behind that, we have a gambeson, literally one of my previous gambesons that I used to wear. It's not the most protective, but it's pretty good. I don't mind it. That's a lie. I hate this gambeson. I would never wear it again. But in terms of a testing medium, it's pretty good. I hope that made sense. So let's start off with scissors. All right, let's start off small, down here in the corner. So it kind of busted through the links a little bit, but honestly, I think it actually killed most of the momentum. Let's try that again. No f***ing way. The scissors actually got caught, they got splayed open a little bit by one of the links, so it got caught on the links. Okay, alrighty. Same thing again, it got caught on the links. And the links are still... That is actually not too bad. Let's try with a screwdriver, because we can concentrate that force a little bit better. It's a little bit more sturdy overall. This one might be able to blast through. No f***ing way. Holy it. It's getting stopped by the lid. Bro. Screwdrivers, right? These are dangerous and deadly weapons. I mean, they're not, they're tools, but if you get punctured by one of these, it's very easy to puncture someone with a screwdriver. It's not a sharp bit, but it is a pointed bit of steel that you can hold and put a lot of, force into. This 3D printed mail is stopping a screwdriver. Holy shit. It's not getting through. The links are catching, oh. Okay, all right. that's the pedestrian stuff out of the way. I'm actually quite impressed so far by this 3D printed mail. Scissors, it caught it. Screwdriver, it caught it. This is not a screwdriver, and this is not a, what was the other one? Scissors, all right? So I have a lot more force and leverage on this, but this does have quite a thick tip. This one here was originally an arming sword. So it's actually, it's quite a chunky boy. I'll see if I can show you that cross section right there. So, but it's a two-handed, you know, I can put more force into it, so it should be able to actually blast through. All right, let's just do it. There's one way to find out. Thanks for holding that for me, buddy. Oh, if you're enjoying today's episode, you should consider subscribing. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks, buddy. All right, I'm gonna try and go right there. That one f***ed it up. Okay, all right. Hold on. Let's got my finger up. All right, let's try something else. Thrust on a sword, sword f***s it. All right, let's try a slash. That's not bad. That is not bad. Let's do another. I am hitting it. I am watching myself hit it, and it's doing nothing. I'm seeing like a touch of where the blade is making contact kind of there in the paint. You're probably not going to be able to see that on camera, it's too small. But that is tanking that. All right, one more. Okay, we can see, there we go. We kind of bent, no, I spoke too soon. Slashing with a sword. Huh, thrusting though. Thrusting, it'll get, okay. 3D printed mail, hot damn. Because like, all right, put this into context, right? It means that perhaps maybe smaller knives aren't gonna be able to get through. Scissors, screwdrivers, I'd probably give them like maybe a 50-50 chance, depending if you're wearing a gambeson underneath. A sword, or, you know, it's current day, you're not gonna run into a sword very much, but you might run into a machete, who knows? Machetes are slashing weapons, they're not actually thrusting weapons. So thrusting with a machete is kind of shit. And slashes, it was tanking those slashes. I mean, maybe the slow-mo will tell a different tale. Maybe my edge alignment was shit. I mean, let's be real, it's me, that's not the case. But you know what I mean, right? So, okay. Thrust, so with a sword, two-handed, full leverage, sharp tip, it's gonna f*** it up. Let's finish out with some arrows. I mean, if the sword got through, the arrows should get through, but hey, you never know. So this here is an 80-pound bow. It's not, you know, like a full 100-pound, it's not a war bow, but it's still very, very respectable. And honestly, if somebody's shooting an 80-pound bow at you and you're not wearing armor, I mean, you're gonna, you're so let's see if this can get through. I fully expect this to be able to get through. Honestly. Huh. 1 second. Okay, yes, it went through. Didn't get through the gambeson, I should mention, but it hit so close to the first hole where I actually penetrated it with the sword. So let's try and hit somewhere a little bit different. Yeah, it's not gonna stand up to a bow, and it's definitely not gonna stand up to these particular tips here, because these are fucking like these are gnarly, these ones. Yeah, you're not gonna be you're not gonna be tanking them, you're not. So, okay. A bit of a mixed bag, actually. 3D printed mail, fascinating in terms of its concept. In terms of like lower, what would I say, less deadly weapons, it actually might be able to tank them. And specifically if you're wearing something underneath, right? You don't just want to be wearing like a t-shirt, you want to be wearing something like a gambeson. If you're wearing a gambeson in conjunction with some 3D printed mail, it may actually be able to stop some reasonable stuff. But the moment that you start getting up to maybe, let's say, some thrusting sort of weapons, you know, because like obviously an arrow is, you know, puncturing through the mail, a sword thrusting with it that is puncturing through the mail, it's going to get wrecked. But for slashing, it's actually not bad. What a world we live in, huh? Just before we finish out with today's episode, there was a couple of points of additional context that I wanted to provide because I felt as though I didn't vocalize them quite as succinctly as I could have when I was out there. Starting off when I said that if I wanted to get through real mail, right, I could thrust through it or fire an arrow through it. That's absolutely true. I've tested real riveted mail a bunch of different times with a bunch of different weapons. You can get through it, right? But it kind of made it sound like I was saying that this was an equivalent. That's not what I meant by that at all. What I specifically meant was that the tests that I was subjecting this to, real mail would struggle with, so this obviously stood no chance. They are not equivalents. Real mail would have tanked a lot of the stuff that we tested against it in today's episode. I felt as though my enthusiasm might be a little bit misconstrued in this particular situation. What I specifically meant was that I'm thoroughly impressed for what it is. So, 3D printed mail is absolutely fascinating. I am way more impressed than I thought I would be for this. Now, what I chose here in terms of the filament is the PLA Tough. I think it's used more for mechanical components, that sort of stuff, but it is just PLA at the end of the day. I think my infill was maybe, I can't remember, whatever it comes as, right? And it held up like a beast. Slashes did basically nothing. They were just dealing blunt force damage. In terms of the screwdriver, the scissors, they got caught in the links. I mean, the Gambeson probably would have stopped them, right? I think that's fair to acknowledge. But at the same time, they didn't get past the links themselves. And then when it came to obviously thrusting with the sword, yeah, no shit, it's gonna kind of get through. I mean, a sword, especially with a robust tip, can actually thrust through real mail, riveted mail. So, I mean, getting through plastic mail is gonna be a piece of cake. In terms of the arrows, similar sort of deal. I mean, you can bust through mail with proper arrows, so getting through a 3D printed one is kind of a no-brainer. I have been astounded by the leaps and bounds in technology when it comes to 3D printing. But that's going to be all for today's episode, guys. Thank you for watching. Remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, I'll see you next week in another episode. Have a good one.